everybody, good to see you. Welcome back to 11 Yanks Soccer Rant, and today we are trying to answer the question, will soccer be a top 3 sport in the United States by 2026? Last week on Twitter, I posted this poll. By 2026, soccer in the US will be A, about where it is now, B, bigger than hockey, or C, a top 3 sport. So as you can see, 212 people answered this poll. 25% of you said about where it is now. 37% or so said bigger than hockey and a top 3 sport. So very little variation in the last 2 answers. How do we know, A, how popular the game is now compared to sports like hockey and baseball and basketball? And how will we know what it's going to look like in 2026? We can try to look at data and trends and make a prediction. Okay, so determining the popularity of a sport in a country as big and diverse as ours is not straightforward, but we're going to try. And to do that, we're going to look at polling, we're going to look at TV numbers, and we're going to look at in-game attendance. Okay, and we're going to try to get an idea of where the sport is now compared to other sports and where it could be. In what direction is it trending? So this is a poll that Gallup runs every couple of years. And this was the latest one in 2017, and they basically just asked Americans, what is your favorite sport? So football 37%, basketball 11%, baseball 9%, and soccer 7%. So there's not a massive difference between soccer, baseball, basketball. It's there, but it's not huge. What's interesting is when you look at the ages, 18 to 34 years old, basketball and soccer have the same level of popularity, right? And baseball is only 6%. 35 to 54 years old, what some people might consider middle-aged, 12% basketball, 10% soccer, and 7% baseball. So soccer beats baseball in both of these categories, both of these age categories, right? And then when you look at children under 18, 13% basketball, 7% baseball, 12% soccer. So soccer basically is more popular, according to this poll, in children and adults all the way up to 54 years old. Hockey, by the way, was in the 4%, 3 to 4% range. That's why it's not on this chart. But we can't draw a lot of conclusions from one poll, right? We have to look at a lot of other things, but it is interesting nonetheless. Even more interesting is when you look at the progression of this poll over time, right? Because they do this every couple of years. So from 97 to 2017, we saw baseball go from 14, 10, 10, 14, and then 9. So a huge drop between 2013 and 2017. There, a decline in popularity. Soccer, 2, 2, 3, 4, 7. The biggest increase in popularity was from 2013 to 2017, right? And remember, this was December 2017. This could be higher if you did this poll now, if you look at the way soccer is trending up. There's ice hockey for you, as you can see, 3, 5, 4, 3, 4. So about right, pretty consistent, pretty stable, but not as popular as soccer. Now, a lot of people will tell you hockey is the 4th most popular sport. I think some of the data that we look at today is going to challenge that whole idea. Okay, this is attendance, right? In-game attendance over time. Now, from 2010 to 2019, we looked at all 3 of these leagues and looked at their attendance. NHL, pretty consistent, about 16,000, 17,000 all the way through. Slight dip recently, but not dramatic enough to really, mean anything. Major League Baseball, consistent at about 31,000, 32,000, right? From 2010 to 2016, started to dip, and then more dramatically now to about 28,000 per game in 2019. And then MLS was at about 16,000, 17,000 in 2010, gradually inclined. It overtook the NHL in 2011, and the attendance just keeps going up, 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 up. Slightly slower increase here over the last 3 years, but still increasing. Now, if we watch the way these 2 trend lines are going, are they going to meet somewhere? Could they meet around 2026 maybe? We don't know, but it's interesting to look at. TV contracts. Right? Now this is huge. It really helps you to determine the popularity of a sport. Major League Baseball, $525 million per year. NHL, $200 million per year. MLS, $90 million per year. And by the way, guys, all of this stuff, there's links to everything I'm saying in here in the description box. So don't take my word for it. Go read this stuff for yourself. But look, two things we have to pay attention to. Number one, NHL and MLS are both coming to the end of a contract, right? They're renewing these contracts. This is probably going to go up, and MLS is definitely going to go up, for sure. For one thing, soccer in the last 6 years has grown dramatically. For another thing, MLS has added 12 new expansion teams in the last 10 years. Since 2014, so even 8 years. And those expansion teams are in big markets: Atlanta, Miami, New York, Los Angeles. Huge. MLS has grown so much. I expect this to double or possibly even triple. Okay? But the other thing we have to pay attention to, and this is the stat that a lot of people will use to say NHL is more popular than soccer in this country. NHL is probably still more popular than MLS in a lot of ways. But we're talking about the popularity of soccer, not the popularity of Major League Soccer. Okay? Soccer's TV value in the United States is worth over $700 million annually. You know why? Because of these soccer leagues. Champions League, their contract's $150 million a year for US TV rights. FIFA events, $125 million per year. Both Fox and I think it's Unimas, who have these contracts, paid $1 billion to FIFA for 8 years worth of tournaments. So the men's and women's World Cups, youth World Cups, etc. When you aggregate that out over 8 years, it's $125 million. Premier League, $170 million. Bundesliga, $30 million. Liga MX, probably the most popular league in this country, soccer league, $110 million. So you see MLS here, very, very small market share of the pie of soccer on television in the United States. So you compare that $700 million with $525 million for baseball and the $200 million for NHL. Soccer is clearly above NHL on TV in America. All right, let's look at TV ratings. Okay, this is for Major League Baseball, MLS, and the NHL. Major League Baseball's ratings are at almost 2.5 million views per game, and that's huge. Huge compared to NHL, 400,000, MLS, 525,000. Now, a lot of people are going to challenge this stat, because what happens is when they announce ratings for Major League Soccer games, they announce the English broadcast ratings on Fox or ESPN, okay? And it's usually between 200,000 to 300,000 depending on the game, sometimes more, if it's a derby or something. But they never announce the Spanish language broadcasts. And when you go look it up, the Spanish language broadcast on Deportes or Unimas or Univision is just as popular. So you get 200,000 to 300,000 on the English language broadcast, but you get another 200,000 to 300,000 on the Spanish language broadcast. And it's not fair that they don't broadcast that, because that's just as valid. When you put that together, that puts MLS at over 500,000. Still not anywhere near Major League Baseball's 2.5 million almost per game. And this is where baseball really takes those numbers home in ratings. And it's a huge stat. Now when we look at the other 4 big soccer leagues that are popular on TV in the US, Liga MX, 770,000 viewers per game on average. Champions League, over 500,000, about the same, a little more than MLS. Premier League, 427,000. So these are all good numbers, and they show that soccer is definitely being watched in the US, but it doesn't really challenge this number here. The ratings for baseball are significantly higher. All right, so to answer the question, will soccer be a top 3 sport in 2026? I think the data has already showed us that soccer is already bigger than hockey. We saw that in the polls, we see that in the TV ratings, and we see it in attendance, right? Baseball, on the other hand, it still has a ways to go to catch up with baseball. Baseball still beats soccer both in attendance and definitely in TV ratings. Okay, at the end of the day, that's really what matters. Could soccer catch up in the next 6 years? Maybe. We saw from the poll that young people are way more into soccer than baseball. But to be honest, I wouldn't bet money on it. I just think the gap between soccer and baseball in this country is still too big, and the 6 years is not enough time to really close it. But hosting the World Cup right here in America, plus a deep run by the men's national team at home, could be the catalyst that thrusts the beautiful game into the consciousness of the general public and helps push it into the top 3 sport it is eventually destined to become. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe down below, and if you want, check out a video I did last week about Josh Sargent. I'll see you all next week on 11 Yanks Soccer Rant.